Today I'm going to run 20 miles to see what happens to my blood sugar levels. I just got this bad boy right here, which is a CGM or continuous glucose monitor. Basically gives me a live feed of my blood glucose levels, and I'm honestly curious to see what will happen, so let's just get started. Okay, so we've got this show on the road now. So for a bit of quick context as to what this sensor is and how it works, it's called a Dexcom Stelo. The reason I got this one is, to my knowledge, it's the only CGM you can get without a prescription. And since I don't have diabetes, I can't get a prescription, so that's why I got this one. It updates every 15 minutes, but when it updates, the data comes through in 5-minute intervals. So I'm almost done with the first mile here. All right, just finished up the first mile, 8:15 split. But when I started this run, I was at 115 milligrams per deciliter, whatever that means. And according to the Stelo app, the normal range for my blood sugar is supposed to be between 70 and 140 milligrams per deciliter. So I'm kind of already at the upper range. We'll see what happens, but I'll let you know when we get the first update. Okay, so we're coming up on 2 miles right now, but just got the first blood sugar level update. We are now at 120 milligrams per deciliter. So a little bit of an increase. I do expect there to be a spike, because when I was doing a bit of research for this video, I was reading about how normally blood sugar will spike when you start to exercise, because your body basically releases a bunch of glycogen into your bloodstream. Just hit mile 2, 8:21 split. But basically, yeah, whenever we eat carbs, our blood sugar levels spike, and our bodies store a bunch of glycogen in our liver and our muscles. And then whenever you start exercising, your body realizes it, and then it releases all that glycogen, which spikes your blood sugar levels. So that's to be expected. We'll see how bad the spike is though. But yeah, right now we're only at 120. By the way, normally for a run this long, I would bring something to eat like gels or chews, something with a lot of carbs. But in the name of science, today I'm not gonna be consuming anything except for water, just to see what happens, see if my blood sugar gets low. Obviously, if my blood sugar gets dangerously low, I'll stop and eat something, but I'm just curious to see what happens. Okay, just got the second update. We're now at 118 milligrams per deciliter, so didn't really get the spike that I was expecting, but I guess it did go up a little bit. Just past mile 4. Feeling good. All right, third update just came through. We're now at 119 milligrams per deciliter. So tiny bit of an increase, I guess, but feeling good. A little over 5 miles now. And check out this view, guys. All right, just over 6.8 miles now. Just crossed over the bridge into Mission Beach, but just got another update on the glucose level. We are now at 124 milligrams per deciliter. So going up a little bit for some reason. Not really sure what that is, but I'll keep you updated in 15 minutes when we get another level. Running past the restaurant. Let's see. All right, a little over 7.5 miles now. Don't have a blood sugar update for you yet, but back to the glycogen thing. Part of the reason why I'm doing this is to show what happens if you don't consume enough carbs while you run. Because our bodies can only store enough glycogen to last about 90 to 120 minutes of moderate to high intensity running. Which means for marathoners, you run out of glycogen usually around mile 18 to 22, somewhere in there. This is why a lot of runners, if they don't eat enough carbs while they're running, they'll bonk or hit the wall around mile 20, 21. And this has happened to me several times. So just want to stress the importance of consuming some type of carbs while you run, whether it's chews or gels or something. It is important if you're running a full marathon, because your body simply is not going to have enough stored energy to make the whole time. All right, just past 8.5 miles. Got another update for blood sugar. We're now at 118 milligrams per deciliter. So starting to go down a little bit, hopefully steadying out. All right, we're a little bit past 9.8 miles now, coming up on the halfway point of this run. But just got another blood sugar update. We're now at 112 milligrams per deciliter. So trending a little bit downward, still pretty stable. I think we're still doing pretty well. It turns out my blood sugar did not spike as much as I thought it was going to at the beginning. Not really sure why that is, but for some historical context, this is actually not the first one of these sensors that I've used. This is actually the second one. The first one I got was about a month ago. I put it on, let it calibrate for about a day, and the day after I put it on, I went on a 7-mile run, and my blood sugar immediately spiked outside of my normal range, past 140. I forget exactly what the peak was. I'll put it up on the screen here. But yeah, I kind of expected that to happen this time. Not really sure why I did it. Might have something to do with what I ate this morning and yesterday. Had a good amount of carbs yesterday. And this morning I woke up really early, 3 a.m. I had a shake that consists of almond milk, flax seeds, banana, blackcurrant powder, protein, and peanut butter. It's a lot of calories. I think it's almost 700 calories for that. And then I also had a cup of white rice, 1 cup dried of white rice, which is actually a lot of rice, 640 calories and this many carbs. So I ate all of that before this run. So I don't know, maybe that has something to do with why my blood sugar is so stable this whole time. Maybe my glycogen stores are nice and full. But any nutritionist or sports scientist watching, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think my sensor is just off, or do you think it really just didn't spike at all? But yeah, I'll give you guys an update in a bit. I just heard the 10-mile marker go off recently, so we're past halfway now. Starting to get a little hot out though, so hopefully we'll come up on a water fountain soon. Talk to you guys in a bit. All right, just past 11.7 miles now. Just got another blood sugar update, 121 milligrams per deciliter. So it's going up a little bit again. I don't really know why. Maybe it's just staying steady. But I have noticed my heart rate starting to creep up a little bit. I'm in the 150s now, and I'm a little bit slower pace. I was at maybe like 8:30 pace. Now I'm around 9-minute pace. So probably has something to do with the fact that it's getting hotter out, and I'm also getting tired. But who knows? Maybe blood sugar is playing a role too. All right, time for first water break. That was much needed. Okay, just past 13.3 miles now. Got a new blood sugar update. We're at 109 milligrams per deciliter now. So trending downward. We'll see if this trend continues, what we end up at. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't go too low. Just took another water break too. So feeling good, less than 7 miles to go. Let's finish up strong. All right, just past 15 miles. Already looped back around to where we started. Already did 1 lap around the bay, but my microphone just died, so apologies for the bad audio quality. But just got a blood sugar update. We're now at 102 milligrams per deciliter, so still trending downward. Got just under 5 miles to go, so we'll see if it keeps going downward or how low it gets. About 45 minutes left of running. Took another water break a little bit ago, which felt good, but again, still haven't eaten anything, so we'll see if my blood sugar levels stay stable. All right, we are just past 16.5 miles now. Got another blood sugar update. We're now at 97 milligrams per deciliter, so we dropped below 100 for the first time. We've got just over 3 miles left to go. Hopefully it doesn't keep dropping super fast. We can stay in our normal range, fingers crossed. But yeah, a little under 30 minutes left of running. So I'm hoping we can keep from going too low. Just did another water break, but I am starting to get a little more tired. It's getting hotter later in the day. My heart rate's going up, but gotta finish up strong. Almost there. All right, we are just past 18.5 miles now. Just got a blood sugar update. We're now at 92 milligrams per deciliter. Still trending downward, not too quickly though. And we've got just under 1.5 miles to go. So I think we're gonna be good. I'm definitely feeling fatigued, tired, hungry, thirsty, all of the above. But we are almost there. We're in the home stretch. All right, we are just past 19.9 miles. Almost finished up here. Just got the final blood sugar update for this run. 89 milligrams per deciliter. So that's where we're gonna end up, just under 90. We stayed in the normal range the whole time, which is great. So I'm gonna finish the last little bit here, and then we're gonna get some food for sure. All right, so just finished up, ended up doing just over 20 miles. Had to do a little extra to pay the Strava tax, and just under 3 hours. All right, guys, we made it to the promised land. We're here. Okay, so it's been just over 15 minutes since I finished that run, so we have another blood sugar update. I am now below 70 milligrams per deciliter, which is as low as the range on this sensor goes. That means I'm kind of in the danger zone-ish, which means it is time to eat some food. So that's why we got some Panda Express. Check out this feast here. We've got cream cheese rangoons, fried rice, orange chicken, teriyaki chicken, couple fortune cookies, and a Sprite. I know this is terrible for me and I shouldn't be drinking it, but it's for science, okay? I'm gonna try and send my blood sugar level to the moon, see how high we can get this spike to be. But yeah, I'm gonna drink this, eat all this food, and we'll see what my blood sugar level ends up at. Oh man, that is so good. All right, just got done eating, finished almost all the food, drank all the Sprite, just watching some Star Talk over here. And we have a blood sugar update. We are now at 108 milligrams per deciliter and still rising, so we'll see how high it goes, but it is time to head home. So I ended that last clip at 108 and I ended up peaking at 121 milligrams per deciliter before starting to go back down again. And I wanted to do a quick data analysis recap of the whole run while I have my blood sugar levels up for the entire day right here. And by the way, if you made it this far in the video and you've gotten any value from this content at all, if you could hit the like button really quickly, it helps out the channel a lot. And also consider subscribing for more running videos just like this one. Anyway, I started this run at 8:50 a.m. right around here. I started at 115 right before I began this run. And as you can see, the first hour or so was pretty normal, slight fluctuations up and down, nothing crazy. And then on top right here, I have the Strava data. Heart rate's in red and pace is in blue. As you can see, I tried to keep everything as consistent as I could. My heart rate was about 140s to 150s almost the whole time. But yeah, again, the whole first hour from 8:50 to 9:50 was pretty normal, just slight variations. And then I had a little bit more fluctuations here, dips up and down right after the 1 hour point, dip down to 108, back up to the 120s again, down to low hundreds again, and then back up to 124 out of nowhere. And then where things really start to go down is right at the 2 hour point around 10:50 a.m., which is exactly 2 hours after I started. And then as you can see from here on, my blood sugar really started to just steadily decline from there all the way to the end of the run. I went from being in the hundreds to dipping just below 100 right after 11, and then kind of stayed in the mid to low 90s before dipping below 90 just before the end of the run. And I finished the run right here just before noon. And then as I was driving over to get that food, I kept dropping, and the lowest point was 62 milligrams per deciliter. For some reason on the desktop version, it'll show you when you go below 70, but on the iPhone app, it won't. It just says below 70. Not sure why that is. But then after I ate that food, I shot up and ended up peaking at 121. And as you can see, this data pretty much tracks what I was talking about earlier, how our glycogen stores only last for about 90 to 120 minutes. And as you can see, right when I hit that 120 minute point, 2 hours in is where my glucose started to just decline and not come back up. So that's basically the point in the run where I just ran out of glycogen and I was using up everything I had, and my blood sugar just started to drop like a rock. And this is where I started eating that meal right at my low point. And I was honestly expecting a bigger spike. I kind of thought it was at least going to go out of my normal range or above 140. And I have a couple different theories as to why this is. I actually have 3 different theories. The first one is that I just started really low. So since I was at such a low point, maybe that's why the peak wasn't that high, just because the initial value was down here and then it ended up peaking just a little bit higher. So it was actually a pretty high increase, but it just didn't go out of the range because I started so low. And my second theory has to do with glycogen replenishment. So I have a couple interesting articles that I pulled up here. So I found this cool article with a helpful infographic that I think will help me explain this. But basically, our bodies will replenish glycogen much faster if we get glucose into our bloodstream immediately after exercising than if we wait even just a few hours later. So as you can see here, we have these little glucose transporters that will take the glucose molecules and put them into chains and make them into glycogen. All glycogen is just chains of glucose molecules. And immediately after exercising, we have a lot more of these glucose transporters than even just 2 hours after exercising. That's why you can see with this cool little graph right here, basically if carbs are consumed within 30 to 60 minute window post-exercise, our glycogen synthesis rates are much higher than if we wait just 2 hours later because we have all these glucose transponders. By the way, if you want to know more about this glycogen stuff, I'll link this article as well as this cool research paper down in the description below so you can read more into it. This paper has pretty much everything you could possibly want to know about glycogen from how it's created, how it's stored, how it's used, and everything like that. We're not going to get too into the weeds in this video, but the TLDR of this is if you consume carbs immediately after exercising, your body will make glycogen with that glucose at a much faster rate than if you wait even just a few hours later. So that is my second theory as to why this peak was not as high, is because I drank this Sprite, which by the way has 63 grams of sugar in it, and I basically flooded my bloodstream with a whole bunch of glucose molecules. And since my body was primed to make glycogen, it took all that glucose, stored it as glycogen in my liver and muscles, and that's maybe why I didn't see the crazy spike that I was expecting. And the third theory I have is that this sensor is just not that accurate. And the nice part about this not being a sponsored video is I can be completely honest with you and tell you that unfortunately I don't really recommend this sensor if you're someone that runs or exercises a lot, because this is the second one of these sensors I've gotten, and both of the sensors stopped working within a few days of me starting to use them. So the first one of these sensors I started right here on March 12th, and as you can see, everything was pretty much normal for the first couple of days. I had my little fluctuations up and down. On the 14th, everything was still normal, as you can see here, and then for some reason on the 15th, when I went for a run that afternoon, my glucose levels spiked way out of my normal range, ended up in the 300s somehow. I had a gap in data, it was still in the 300s, and then I got this error message on my phone that just said session ended early, and it told me to take the sensor off. And that was only on day 3 of having the sensor. So I thought that was a bit of a fluke. To Dexcom's credit, I reached out to them, told them that the sensor had failed, explained what happened, and they sent me a new one for free, which is my second one right here. And I started the second one on April 5th right here, which is when I did the run. And as you can see, everything was pretty normal overnight into the second day, and even the third day on the 7th, the 8th, and then on the 9th, I was really low most of the day, and I started having these gaps in data again. As you can see, there's a gap right here, and then there was like a couple hour gap in data right here as well. And I kept getting this error message right here that just said brief sensor issue, wait up to 3 hours. And then after a couple of those errors, I got this right here where it says session ended early again, and it told me to take off the sensor. And that was on day 4. So yeah, first sensor lasted 3 days, second one lasted 4 days. Not really sure why that is. I think it has something to do with how much I was running and sweating. And because when I pulled both of them off, there was a little bit of moisture underneath where the adhesive was. So I think maybe the amount that I was sweating maybe messed with the adhesive and the sensor itself, and it stopped working. I'm not really sure. Maybe I just got unlucky and I got a couple bad sensors. Who knows? But the sensor's also kind of uncomfortable too. I mean, there is a filament that's under your skin in the muscle itself, so it is a little bit painful if you sleep on it the wrong way, and even during exercise you can kind of feel it. It's almost like a pinprick feeling. So I wasn't really a fan of that either. But even though I'm not going to continue using this device going forward in the future, I think it was still a really cool experiment. I got a lot of valuable data, and I learned a ton about my blood sugar levels and just glycogen in general. So feel free to try this out if you want to. I'll link it in the description. But you have been forewarned. I had 2 of these fail, so do with that information what you will. Also, recently I ran a mile in these 3D printed shoes, so if you want to see how that went, you can click right here to watch that video next.